Is the part 2 for the website series. We're going to talk a lot about how to market your website, how to make it successful. If you've had a website for a couple of years, some of these concepts may seem obvious to you, and then you may learn a couple of new things. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And I'm hoping to not take much of your time, probably about 30-40 minutes. We won't do a full hour today. So part 2 of our website, Still Relevant. The first thing, you guys, that we're going to want to focus on is, in order to get our website out there, we need to put it on everything that we own. So a lot of times, I'll have people, they'll spend a lot of money on websites, or they won't, because we talked about that last time. You can get a cheaper website, a more expensive website, doesn't really matter. And they'll say, well, nobody goes to my website, nobody uses it. I've never heard anybody say that they used my website. And I always will say, okay, well, are you promoting it? Is it on your business card? Is it on your, well, no, I just expected people to show up. Well, that's not how this works. You don't make a website and people just find you. There are billions of websites on the internet, and there are probably millions of real estate sites out on the internet. So they're not going to just come across your site. It does take a little bit of effort. Depending on how much effort you want to put into this, you can put a little bit of effort in the beginning and try to let it do its thing organically, or you can continue to put effort into it on a regular basis and turn it into what's going to be like a lead generation program for you. It all depends on how much you care about your website and where you want to put your focuses in on as far as your marketing time and your marketing budget. But in the least, if you are going to have a site and put it together, make sure you put it on all of the platforms that you have. So that first and foremost would be social media. So if there is a spot on the social media for it where it says website in a blank space, put your website there. It's the least you can do. If they don't have a specific place for your website, put it in your bio, put it somewhere where they can find it. Or for social medias such as Instagram, if you've not been on Instagram before, the bio is very small. You're very limited on the space that you have, and you can put a website in there, especially if you make your profile a business Instagram profile. You can put a website in there, but you can only put one. So I do recommend, you'll see there on the slide where it says Linktree, Linktree, linktree.com. It gives you a link. So when somebody clicks it, it will open up options for multiple links. I think you get 3 or 4 links for free. After that, you have to pay for it. So what we do for our Instagram, for example, you can only put one link in there. We have a Linktree link in there. So it's linktree.com/Jones and Company Realty, I believe. When people click it, it opens up a bar of options. It'll say, do you want to go to our website? Do you want to go to our Facebook? Do you want to go to our YouTube channel? So that we can send them multiple places. So those are just some options to plug into your social media. If you can plug in multiple things, try to put in as much information as you can if you've got multiple profiles. But most importantly, just don't forget your website. If you've put forth the effort to make your website or pay for your website, put it out there on your social medias so that if somebody wants more information, they can find it through you. Also, your emails, make sure it's part of your signature. Especially make sure that you're using it in your campaign emails. If you're sending out any kind of marketing emails to new customers, or you're doing that monthly newsletter, because if people want more information, they're going to look for a website. And if you don't have something to click through, they're going to just start Googling real estate, and they're going to end up in the hands of somebody else. So that website link is always a portal for, that invite of, to find out more, click here. And that way they can go to find more, especially if you're looking for new customers. They're in the beginning of their search journey. You want them to search for property on your site most of all. You don't want them getting lost on realtor.com or Zillow, and again, in the hands of somebody else. And last but not least, make sure it's on all of your print marketing. I know some people are saying print's dead. Some people are saying with COVID, it's coming back because people are home. They want letters, they want mail, whatever you believe. If you're making print marketing, most of us at least have business cards. Make sure your website is on there. Sometimes we always forget to put it on that stuff. But the importance of putting it on your print marketing is, they say 80% of people start their home search on the websites through Google and search engines and stuff like that. Well, what you're doing is inviting them to come off of your print marketing and get into the computer and do searching, but through you. So if you can get them through print marketing and advertise your website before they even start their search on the internet, you're like 10 steps ahead of all the other realtors, and you don't lose them again to all of these other sites. So just a reminder, make sure you add it to everything else that you've already put effort in. But what we're going to talk most importantly about today is Google. Google is the largest search engine, obviously, for most of us. That's a given. If anybody uses any other kind of search engine, a lot of these different tactics are also going to apply to those, but we're going to specifically focus on Google. You can be on Google and, show up on Google if somebody's searching for real estate organically. That means without paying for it. To show up there organically, you have to have a good site. You have to have a lot of different things, which we're going to go over: how to have a successful site, how to show up on Google naturally. You can also advertise on Google. So you would showcase your website on Google by paying for it. The pricing on Google can be very, very different for every situation. That's everybody's first question. Well, how much is it going to cost me to show up first on Google? That's got to cost me, an arm and a leg. It doesn't always have to. The way that Google breaks down their pricing is first by industry. So how much it costs to advertise in real estate can be different for how much it costs to advertise in technologies, or maybe for doctors, or every industry costs different based on a supply and demand, right? But then they also break it down by area. So how much it costs to advertise in Florida as a realtor is different for how much it's going to cost in the middle of nowhere, Missouri or something for advertising. For real estate as a national whole, Google put the pricing out there for our industry. It's an average of $3 per click. You do pay per click for Google. So reading through a lot of statistics from 2020 specifically, they were saying, if you pay for so many hundred clicks, it's so many dollars. And on average, out of that, it's a small percentage of how many clicks actually become leads. And a lot of realtors had filled out reports of how many leads they actually got out of Google. So they broke it down to a number, and they were saying on average, what you're paying for is $47 a lead. So, you get 10 leads, maybe only one of them is a real person. The other people are just click throughs, things like that don't turn into anything. So on average, you're paying $3 per click. How many of those become a lead? It's about $47 per lead. But let's be real, for how much you're making off of somebody who's a real lead who's going to close on a house, it does pay for itself, I believe. And I've always heard really good things about people who advertise with Google. They believe that they get their money's worth. There is a new type of Google advertising that hit, I want to say, just 3 weeks ago. You might not even seen it yet. I don't know how much it costs. It seems like it's going to be really pricey. But what I do know is you have to go through a background search. You allow Google to run a background search on you. They ask for your insurance. They ask for all of this stuff because what they do is they call you a verified member, and you show up at the top of the Google search engine, almost looking like how it does on Zillow or Realtor.com with your profile at the top. So I'm going to show you guys an example of it real quick. How was our Canva experience? Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so if we were to Google realtor in Fort Myers, Florida, you can see that here. So typically what you're paying for is to show up here at the top in the advertise section. And that's what the $3 per click cost is that we were talking about. That was, that's been around for a while. You're paying to get at the top with your website. This is the new feature that Google has now. We're talking about websites today. So more so what we're talking about is being here. That's how you're going to promote your website. That's how you're going to get more clicks. That's how you're going to get more leads. But I do just want to point out that this is the new feature on Google for real estate agents to show up at the top. And this is the part where, they mark you as verified. They run a background search on you and all of this crazy stuff. So That's what the new look is. Before, we didn't have these little profile buttons. It was just websites. If we do click on somebody, it opens them up, shows that they were screened, has all their information here. But you'll notice the website is way down here. So if you're looking to promote yourself, and get people to call you, this is a good idea. But if you're looking to promote your website, you're going to want to go with advertising for the cost per click section. So typically with Google, if you just go to googleads.com, you can find a lot of information about how to advertise on Google specifically, further than what we've talked about today. And most of the time, they're going to ask for your information, and then they're going to call you, and a sales representative is going to try to find what fits you best and sell you into the program. It's not really something that you just sign up for online and say, I want this zip code, and it's that easy. There is a salesperson involved that you're going to talk to. So the other important thing to add here to the Google page is that they own YouTube. So they are going to promote their YouTube videos in that search engine before anything else, and sometimes before your website. But if you have YouTube videos linked in on your website, they, in the past couple of years, have been promoting those websites before other sites. Having YouTube links and stuff like that on your page will help you also organically move to the top. So NAR every year does a kind of like a consumer market trend. They'll go to anybody who bought a house this past year. They'll ask them questions. How did you find your realtor? What did you do during your search? They take all of this wonderful information and they throw it into a report for us. So we've got a couple of numbers throughout our slides today, and these are all straight from NAR. And this past year for 2020, they actually paired with Google to give us better information. So they're showing 52% of actions on real estate brand sites come directly from a local search on a search engine, meaning that people didn't just go directly to a website. 52% of them started by Googling Fort Myers real estate, Fort Myers realtor, Florida real estate, those types of things. So 52% of people actually started on Google. So that's why it's so important for you to try to be on Google. 11 average times shoppers will perform this sentence is all messed up, but they will search 11 times prior to taking any kind of action. So you don't have to worry about really being the first one on the page. If you're paying for it, obviously you want to be the first one up on the Google search, but people will run 11 searches. They will click through the pages regularly until they find something that they like, is what NAR found. So don't lose hope and think that you're just lost in a sea of websites. There is a possibility, because people click around a lot, they search a lot, and as we can see, they do an average of 11 searches. Any questions so far about Google? Anybody advertise with Google yet or have any kind of experiences with that? No? Okay. All right. So the second thing to having a successful website is keeping it active. This is going to help you with your algorithm. I know we use that word a lot. Some people hate it, some people love it, but that's what's going to help you show up further on Google than other websites. They want to see new material. The longer you let your website sit, or you let material sit without it like having fresh things, the staler it gets, the further down that list you're going to move, and you're going to see a lot less activity on your sites as far as visitors. You'll notice the more you update your site and the more you regularly change things on your site, that count of how many visitors you have goes way up. So ways to do this are, first, with your IDX feed, which is something great for our industry compared to other industries. They don't have a live feed of information coming and going from their sites like we do. If you have an IDX feed on your website, that'll help you a lot, because that's updating. It depends on which site you use, but ours updates, I think, every hour. So every hour there's new listings that people can find, other listings are coming off, and there's constant movement. So real estate sites really will be marked up at the top, because they have constant information coming and going from that site, and then the site is not stale. The other thing that will really help you is blogs. Now, I don't want you to think just because you have an IDX feed, there's constant information moving, that you don't need to do anything else, because the back runnings of Google and search engines are going to see that it's just like a feed. It's not a real person interacting with the site. So it will get you points, it will get you up further, but adding more content directly to your site is going to help you more. So blogs are a great way to do that. You want to add verbiage, you want to add photos, and maybe if you can, if you have a comment section, that's great, because then you get other users to interact on your site. That will help you with your numbers as well. We're going to talk about Google, or we're going to talk about social media advertising and blogs at the end of this presentation. But if you have blogs, you know, it's not just about putting it on your site, it's about sharing it out to people and using that almost as bait to get people to come to your website. If you get people to come to your website, then you can get them to give you their information, right? So this is just another piece of information to get people onto your site, which we're going to cover in Facebook ads. I did put a website down here at the bottom. I've talked about it a couple of times in some other classes. NAR provides a great resource for us. It's members.houselogic.com. They have blogs that are pre-written there that are there for us to use, as long as we cite them properly and don't change the blogs, you know, because it is copyrighted, but it's copyrighted for our use. So if you go to members.houselogic.com, you type in your NERDS number and your last name to verify who you are, and there's hundreds of blogs out there for you to use. So if you don't want to type blogs, I sure as heck don't. I mean, some days I do, but we're doing blogs on a weekly basis. Go out here, use their blogs, follow the instruction on the site, and you know, use that to update your site regularly. They have really, really great articles. Okay, so the biggest thing with sites and making them successful, I'm sure you guys hear this all the time, it's about the SEOs. And quite often people are like, what the heck? Like, they know SEOs are important, but they're like, I have no idea what an SEO is, which is fine. SEOs used to be a thing where it was like only website creators really understood it. And now we're all expected to be website gurus and understand HTML code and understand how to format a website and understand all the back workings of how a site works. And it's like, I just want to sell a house. Isn't that what I'm here for? No, you're here to, you know, have 10 jobs. So understanding SEOs can be simple. If you don't want anything to do with it, then just depend on your website provider to do your SEOs for you. Most of the time, your website provider will build in SEOs on the back end of your website for you. So if you don't want to get involved, you don't have to, but you can always ask them what words they're using. And maybe if you wanted to edit them up or make yours special, you could ask them to change it. So SEOs are there are lots of different things built on the back end of the website to help optimize people's searches. So these are words and phrases that are in the coding of your site. So when people search, it pulls it up, but it's not actually things that are just visibly typed into your site. So SEOs can be known as page titles, meta tags, and meta keywords. I know it's small. I put like an example down at the bottom in case anybody wanted to get really techy. It's an HTML coding, and you can see the highlighted yellow. That's like a meta tag that was put into the back end. So that's what the computer sees, and that's what it's searching. But again, you don't see that on your site. So the reason that your search engine optimization is so important is because this is how people are finding you on Google. So what terms and what words you have in your page title, your meta tags, and your meta keywords are so important, because 69% of home shoppers are taking action on real estate brand websites. They begin their search with local terms such as Houston homes for sale, Fort Myers homes for sale. They're saying that is when people are looking for real estate, that is the #1 search that they're seeing. They'll type in the city and then they'll say homes for sale. So you want to make sure on the back end of your site, whatever area it is that you want to specialize in, you have those keywords in there. So you want to have Fort Myers homes for sale. I know Steve Benna is working the Villages, so I'm sure he's got the Villages homes for sale, or Villages, the area home for sale. So the keywords, a lot of people understand that because we used to all use keywords in the back end, but now they're finding what's more important to Google are your page titles and your meta tags. So I'm going to show you an example with our site interface, but if you have a different website provider, it might look different. So with Agent 3000, we can actually edit our meta tags and titles and keywords ourselves. So if we come down on the side to our website section and we do the startup of the website, you can see here. Now, this is what they put in. I wanted to use this as an example just so you can see. This is what they put in here automatically. This is how the site comes. This is what Agent 3000 has provided us. So JJ had the new site created and they automatically put JJ Jones Realtor, Broker Jones & Co. Realty, serving Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Sarasota for all your real estate needs, houses, condos, property rental management, MLS property search. So Agent 3000 chose those words because they believe that those were what were searched most. So you want to make sure you have your name, your company name, because if somebody is searching you directly, you want your site to show up first, not realtor.com's profile of you. You want your site first. So make sure you get creative, type in what areas you're working most. Think outside the box. We had an agent, and I love that she did this. She works Fort Myers. I don't know if Jean is on the call. I'll give her a shout out. She did it. So she had all kinds of search terms in here that had to do with Fort Myers. But what was great was for every time she typed Fort Myers, she typed it also as she typed it, the Myers part, as MEYERS, because everybody always misspells Fort Myers if you're not from here. So if people misspelled Fort Myers in their search, Jean would show up before anybody else because she mistyped it. She had it typed correctly and incorrectly in her search because she wanted to think about how her customer base was using Google and be there for them when they searched incorrectly. So that just gives you an idea. If you don't know how to get to this part of your website and you're with somebody else, just shoot your email provider a quick email and say, hey, how do I change out the keywords on the back end of my site? So think about what kind of customer you want to work with, what they're searching for, and type those search terms into your page title, your meta tags, and your meta keywords. Does anybody have any questions about how that works? Or any advice, anything that you guys are using that works? No. Okay. So that's going to be your biggest bet for how you're going to show up at the top of Google. Typing in exactly what people are searching so that you can match with them and be at the top of the page when they search. Okay, so this seems like a really stupid slide to have to put out there, but I gotta say it. Make sure you fill out your website to its optimum capabilities. Blank pages are gonna hurt you when people are searching. So a lot of times people will get sites that are templated, that are created by a specific company, if it's Agent 3000 or Realtor.com sites or anything like that, and they don't fill out their About Me page, or they don't fill out their contact me page, or there's some things that you just are like, oh, I don't care, and you don't fill it out. If you have blank pages, it looks really, really bad to a search engine, and they're going to read that, and it's just going to hurt you. So in the least, either take that page out if you can, or make sure you do go through and have your website filled out completely, just so that doesn't hurt you. You don't want to look like this big white blank space. All right. So the most important thing I would say with your website is using it as pieces for posts, or using them for the social media ads. You want to drive people to your site so that you can gain numbers. The more numbers you gain, the more visitors you have, the higher up you're going to show up on Google organically, meaning not having to pay for it after a while. So ways to do that are with different pages on your site. I know we talked about a couple of these on part 1 as far as creating the website, but I want to talk about how these are important and how they're going to work in getting you business and getting you leads. So landing pages, first and foremost, you need a lead capture page, or have it on your website somewhere. If there is nowhere on your website that says, put your information here and I'll get back to you, you're not going to get leads. They need to have somewhere where they can put their name, their phone number, their email address. That's the best landing page we have on our site. We get people putting in information all the time. Sometimes they're bots. Yes, the bots run through Google and fill out fake information, but that's fine because we do get a good amount of leads regularly from people visiting our website that aren't going to just pick up the phone and call us. They fill out their information and they want to see if we're going to contact them. So make sure you have a spot on your website where people can fill out their information. You can use these pages specifically for Google ads. So we will run Google ads that have a button on it. It has a pretty picture of a house, talks about how the market's doing great. The button says, click here for a free home valuation. So when they click it, it opens up this landing page that says, thanks for visiting our website. If you would like a free home valuation, put your information below. So immediately they fill it out with their name, their phone number, their email, their address, because they want us to tell us how much their home is worth, and we have a raw lead. Depending on how you like to do your advertising, yes, Facebook does have lead sheets where they just stay on Facebook and fill it out. But a lot of times when people click a button, they don't expect to just see a page that's like a PDF where they fill out their information. They want more, right? So I would say 60% of the time with our ads, when they click through, we're seeing that they're filling out the information. The others that are just bouncing off, they're either bouncing off or they click around on the website because they want to look at properties, which we're fine with, because if they're not going to give us their information in the first place, then they're just not going to, no matter what we do. But they're searching on our website, looking at properties on our website, which is a great feature. We're not losing them completely. We're still building the brand, and we're their resource now. Even though we didn't get their information, we eventually will. Okay, so other pages that you can use: buyer and seller resource pages. These are pages that are going to help consumers figure out the process, why use a realtor, cost of selling a home. These are just pages with information on them. They're not your blog pages that you write details about. These are just real generic pages to help them figure out the process. So if somebody lands on our site and they don't know what costs are involved with selling my home, well, we're going to tell you right there. We're going to cut to the chase. There's a tab for it. All is well. But we also use those landing pages to send out on social media, whether it's a post or an advertisement that says, wonder how much it costs to sell your home? Click here. That's helping us build our brand. We might not be capturing a lead right away, but that's helping us build our brand and be the resource. We're going to get more followers. And at the bottom of all of our pages, we have a spot where they can fill out their name for more information. So if they read through it and they want more information, then we do get a lead. So the other landing pages to use are community resource driven pages. So if you're going to be working specific communities, I highly recommend doing this. These are pages where people can find what the fees are for the community, like the HOA fees, the master HOA fees. You can talk about what amenities they have, all of those different things. That's information that a lot of people have a hard time finding for some reason. It's not easily accessible on realtor.com and Zillow. So if you want to build yourself as a community expert in specific communities, and you can even do several. I've seen people have the communities button with a drop down, and it has 6 different communities on it. And then they can go into each one to figure out and compare the different communities. These are great to put out on Facebook and to advertise to the people who are looking in that community as well, because then you are the source of the information and they're not digging around on realtor.com or Zillow to figure out what the HOA fees are. And you look like the expert, so they're calling you first and foremost. Another great tab to have is tools. We have these on our sites. So these are things like mortgage calculators, home searches, which is, your IDX feed where people can search for homes. The nosy neighbor feature, which is, where people can type in their address and see what's going on in their neighborhood for a 5 or 10 mile radius without having to fill out a lead sheet. These are great because this keeps people coming back to your site. If I'm a customer and I'm using your mortgage calculator, every time I look at a new home, or every time, I'm on Zillow and I'm shopping around, because that's what they say millennials are doing with their free time now, we're shopping around on Zillow. Every time I see a new home on Zillow, I'm using your mortgage calculator to figure out if I can afford it or not. So that's bringing me back to your site 10 times over. And then by the time I finally get the courage up to contact a realtor, hopefully I'm contacting you because I've been using your site this whole time. And you can also use these tools as advertisements and posts as well. So these are posts that you can put out on Facebook, on Pinterest, on Instagram, whatever it is that you like to use, and say, hey, ever wonder, what your mortgage cost would look like or your monthly payment would look like, whatever feature it is, post out that mortgage calculator, start drawing people to your website. And lastly would be the blogs, which we've talked a lot about before. We talked about it in part 1, and we've talked about it multiple times today. If you're posting out blogs onto your site, you want people to go out and read it. So don't just put it on your site and think people are just going to come to it. We post blogs onto our site, and then we put them on all of our social medias. We put it on Pinterest, we put it on Instagram, we put it on Facebook, we put it on LinkedIn, we put it on Twitter, we put it everywhere. And that's how we get people to read our blogs. Are we getting direct leads out of those? No, but they are building our brand. People are coming to our site, people are looking around, and then people eventually fill out that lead capture sheet on the site. So it's a little mix of everything. You've got lead capture and brand building across all of these tabs, and they're all doing different things for you and just really strengthening you as a realtor. So it's about getting people, yes, to give you their phone number and email, but it's also about becoming that community resource for everything real estate. So that even, the brand building is really important, because for people who aren't even buying or thinking about buying or selling right now, they'll shop around and look at stuff all the time. And then when they don't buy or sell and their friend does, they're like, oh my gosh, I know somebody, I use her site all the time. Or, I'm friends with her on Facebook all the time. Go check her out. That brand building is going to lead you to other future leads, even if that specific person isn't going to be a lead. And that's why that's important. So I just want to show you examples of these landing pages on our site so that you can get an example of what we're talking about. So we've got a section for sellers and we've got a section for buyers. And this has information on it. If a seller were to land here and trying to figure out what they need to do to sell their home, we have why use a realtor, instant home valuation, pricing your home. A lot of these are articles so that they can figure things out, but this one would be a lead capture. So it's going to have them fill out their information, but you can see down here at the bottom of every page, we have this. So it asks for their name, their email, their phone number, brief description of what they need. Most of our pages are highly encouraging them to contact us. So that's going to be your lead capturing site. Some different tools that we have are the nosy neighbor, like we talked about. I know out here somewhere is our mortgage calculator, or they can use the property search. So these are different tools that they can come out here and use. We see a lot of people using our nosy neighbor tab, which is really nice because you can just type in your information here and see what's going on in the area. If you're just curious about what your neighbor's houses are selling for, things like that. That's why it's called nosy neighbor. But just all of these different tabs are going to lead them to fill out their information or lead them to information for themselves. Any questions about how to set up the website for success? It's pretty given. And like I said, a lot of times these website providers, this stuff came set up from Agent 3000. This isn't something that you have to put work into or that you have to type up all on your own. It comes with it as long as you choose the right website provider. So if you don't have a website yet, these are things you're going to want to make sure your website provider does have. All right. So our last thing that I want to talk about, because I told you guys I would keep it short, is Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is a free program. They give you a Google Analytics code, and you can either send it to your website provider and ask them to plug it in for you, or most sites, for example, I'm going to hop over to where we were before for Agent 3000. Here it is. So where our meta tags and stuff go, you can see here, there's a spot for us to plug in our Google Analytics tag. And what that does is allow Google to analyze your website. This will help you to see what times people are visiting most, who's visiting. You'd be very surprised what type of people you're attracting. This is going to help you if you're really putting in efforts to have a successful website, you're putting out advertisements and things like that. You can watch your website and see, is it actually working? What type of people are visiting? What do I need to put more effort into? What do I need to put less effort into? We had an older agent that was here, and he was super techie, super techie. And he used Google Analytics, and he did a lot of different social media advertising. And he was finding, for some reason, that he was getting a lot of visitors. I'm going to scroll down because you can see all kinds of different things, but you can see where people are visiting you from the most. And he had a whole bunch of people randomly that were visiting his site that were from Russia. So he started doing, he wasn't Russian. He had no idea why. It just was what it was. And so he decided to put more effort towards marketing to people in Russia, and he got a lot of leads from that. So you can sit here, analyze your data. When do people visit your site the most? Where are people visiting from? Are they using the desktop or a mobile or a tablet device the most? So that you can figure out how you want to advertise. Do you just want to do mobile advertising? Do you want to do a mix of both? When should you advertise more? When are more people likely to visit? And what areas are they really visiting your site from? So this is going to help you really hone in on specifics. A lot of us, we start marketing and we're like, I don't know, I guess our local area, and I'll go after all ages, anyone looking for real estate. That's always, our first advertising. That's what it looks like for a lot of us. But once you start getting more visitors on your site, then you can look at and see really what people are wanting from you, or what type of people are wanting your services. So you can see right now we have 3 active users on the site at this very moment. It shows our user rate. So it's just going to help you figure out, are you getting more visitors when you started advertising from when you weren't advertising? Are you getting more bounce rates? How long are people staying on your site? Why are they here? At the bottom, it shows what tabs are being used the most. So I can tell if I need to get rid of a resource. If I'm paying extra for a resource and it's not working, get rid of it. If it's something that people, obviously people are using our agent search and our property search the most. So that's where we're going to put our most efforts. All of our stuff says we have a $0 page value, and yours is too. Don't let that break your heart. That's because we don't sell anything directly on our website. There's no purchases being made on the website. That's for people who have product. So don't stress over that button. But I do suggest that you come out here. Like I said, it's free. You can log into a Google Analytics profile with your Gmail login. If you don't have a Gmail, you can set one up for free, and you can access this for free. So do we have any questions? Is anybody kind of lost on how this works? You guys are all pretty set. Christine, did you learn anything new? She's our marketing major. She already knows it all.
I think what you did a really good job explaining everything. I think, the search SEO optimization is really important.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that exactly. So you did a really good job explaining that. We are in the process of setting up our website. So I think that I did think about the Google Analytics is a good thing that I should add. I forgot about that. So I think that'd be really important. And it'll help you also be able to focus who you're reaching out to. So
yeah. Good. Yeah, Google Analytics is my favorite. I love it when it's free.
well, yeah, anything free is always great. So yeah.
And Jamie, are you planning on getting a site, or are you still just deciding?
Well, no, I think I want to. Is there somebody that I can pay to help me build this? I don't know that I can do this on my own.
So my suggestion for you is going to be Agent 3000. That's who we use. They have a deal with our local board. So instead of it being very expensive, it's something like $35 a month. And I think they have a discount if you pay for the year. So they build the whole site for you. They have an IDX feed, so you don't have to pay for an IDX feed through MLS. And it would look just like you saw our site. The only difference with our site is like we have a tab that shows all of our agents. So that would be the only thing we have. But they provide all of that for you. And on the back end, they have a CRM. So when people sign up on the site, it keeps a log of them. You can set them up on an email drip campaign, have all kinds of great features in the background. So when you sign into MLS and you have that dashboard with all of the options before you click the MLS button, one of those buttons says Agent 3000. And that's where you can.
Okay.
And so,
So
like,
it's just, you just pay 30, there's no initial setup fee to set up the website or?
I signed up years ago and there wasn't. But I don't want to quote it, but I don't think there is. I haven't heard anybody say anything about a sign up fee recently. I just know that it's $35 a month. So it's the cheapest option that we have around, but it's not a cheap product just because it's the cheapest. We get a really good rate because they're plugged in with our association.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of your other sites, because I've tried a couple of other sites, and I was paying for like a lower end site, I was paying $150 to $200 a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think they're the best bet, and they have all of those features that we talked about. And we have really good success with them. So
good. Thank you.
no problem. No problem.
And I'll watch that first segment of your video.
Oh,
too.
okay. Yeah, we just talked about keeping your site legal and things like that. So I would definitely watch that because DBPR is cracking down, making sure that everybody is paying attention to fair housing laws, not doing anything that's antitrust, keeping us out of those black and white stripes. So
Yeah.
awesome. All right. So we did record this one too. So if there's anything that you missed, it'll be up on YouTube shortly. And I think that's about it. If you guys don't have any other questions, I hope you guys have fun getting out there, coming up with all of your meta tags and your key phrases and spelling things incorrectly. And
All right. Well, thank you.
no problem. Reach out if you guys have any questions.
Okay.
Have a good day, guys.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.